One.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this Friday. I think this is like about the end of the third week of our COVID-19 lockdown, right, Gershom?
Yeah, third week.
Yeah, so it's been like it's forever. Like I'm really not used to staying at home for and not being able to go out to eat and do other things. That's really like ingrained into the American lifestyle. But it's something really important and something that everybody should be practicing more, social distancing. And like the more serious we get about it, the faster this would all be over for all of us.
Yeah, it's been very strange, but the interesting thing is this may go on even longer. I know that the new date that we're looking at was April the 30th, but I got a strange feeling that as we get closer towards that date, they're going to have a new date for us. And I'm thinking it's probably going to be around the end of June. As crazy as that may seem, I'm already prepared myself mentally, for being on lockdown until the end of June, because I believe that that's the date that they're going to give us the next time. So.
Yeah, I kind of concur with that view, right? Because I don't think that he wants to, no governor or President Trump, like they want to alarm us. That's why they're giving us, feeding us little its and bits at a time, basically. First, they tell you, oh yeah, it's only going to be a 2 weeks lockdown. Then when 2 weeks is coming to an end, they're like, oh yeah, we're
too much.
Yeah, maybe let's do another month. And then, because if they just come out right out, and tell us, oh yeah, this we're going to lock it down for the next 3 months or 4 months, it's going to scare a lot of people.
It certainly will, and I think you're right. I think the thing about this kind of situation is you have to manage it. It's very difficult to manage, and like I said before, I feel bad for everyone that's in charge of this right now, because you're trying to manage the spread of the virus, but you also want to make sure that you don't damage the economy too much, that it can't recover. So it's a very thin line that everyone is dealing with right now. And, so how long can it keep the economy on lockdown while they, get this virus to flatten out, or the line to flatten out? I don't know. But what I do know, and I said this before, this being the largest economy in the world, I'm talking about the U.S. economy, I don't know how long they can keep it like this without, doing some serious underlying damage to the economy. And right now, as it is, a lot of business is going to go bankrupt. A lot of people that's out of work right now will not go back to work. The unemployment right now is like 10 million. Is the highest. I mean, the spike is crazy. So there is a lot of damages being done right now because of this. So it's a bad situation.
And I see, the problem is people in America, they're not taking the lockdown seriously enough. I still see so many people going out there crowding, together in Walmarts, your supermarkets, and all the stores that are still open. And yeah, I understand it's very essential to get our food supply, very essential to get our toilet paper, which seems to be, at a premium right now.
For some reason, everyone wants toilet paper. But the interesting thing, at least for me, I had an inkling that the economy was already on shaky ground. What I mean by that is, when you look at the market, the market itself was already overvalued. And so I already prepared myself mentally, maybe a couple of years ago, that at any moment this bulb is going to pop. I just didn't know what was going to happen to pop it. So I was already prepared for this kind of situation. Now
that's why you have that huge stack of cash, in hiding out in your office and under your bed, right?
No.
That you're about to whip out.
It's not so much the cash, but it's the mental preparedness. I was already prepared that the market was going to, run into some kind of crisis. And so I knew that we were going to have a situation like this. I didn't know that it would be this severe,
Mhm.
but I was prepared for something. So when this happened, my mind was already there. That's why I'm not really, panicking. I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, but see, like the way I see it, right? So once you like those infected with coronavirus or COVID-19, as they're calling it now, it's basically just 3 to 4 weeks where it runs its course. Maybe like a more critical situation. Case of COVID-19 would take a little bit longer, but essentially, it's all maximum. It's like about 4 to 5 weeks for a person who's infected to either recover or unfortunately pass away, right? So like if we were able to just lock down the whole world, every single person, just for that 3 to 4 weeks, everything would be over. But unfortunately, a lot of people aren't taking it seriously, so they're still going out there. I still see kids, like playing basketball at the park. Still, people, like going out to jog, and I mean, I do understand about like getting your daily dose of exercise, right? But you can exercise at home too. You don't have to, like go out there into like a crowded, like park or like jogging area where you have other people running, like right by you. If they're infected, they turn, like as they're running, they turn around to cough or whatever like that as they're passing you. There you go. You just got infected too.
Yeah, and a lot of people, they think that they're invincible, right? But it's a lot of times it's not about you. It's about the person that you're going to infect, right? Like I feel like I'm in pretty good health, and I do feel like if I were to come in contact with coronavirus, I should survive it. I may be sick for a long period of time, but I should survive it. But that's not the point. The point is, if I were to be infected with the coronavirus, the people around me that I'm going to get infected. That's the point. It's not just me. It's those who are going to come in contact with. So a lot of people, they feel like, oh, coronavirus, whatever, not thinking about it's the people that you come in contact with that you're going to get infected that may not be as healthy as you are.
Plus, it's not a fun experience to go through that.
I'm sure.
So, last, like a few years ago when the swine flu H1N1 was a big thing and was, like going around like crazy, Katie and I, we actually had the swine flu, and that was not a fun experience at all.
Both of you guys had it?
Yeah, both of us had it. I got it first, and then I passed it on to Katie. Katie was a little bit more severe than mine because Katie has asthma too. But it was not a fun experience. I remember for almost a month we couldn't even get out of bed. It was that bad. Like you can't breathe. You can't. You have like high fevers. Yes, for almost a month. Like we couldn't do anything. So it's definitely not a fun experience, and like we're trying not to go through that experience again.
That does not sound like fun at all, man. I can't even imagine being in the bed for like close to a month and having difficulty breathing. That has to be quite telling. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, like you're just coughing your lungs out the whole time, so it was not fun. Yeah. But I mean, there's almost 1.1 million cases of coronavirus out there right now.
That's global, right?
Yes, that's global. Here in the U.S. alone, we're currently leading here in the U.S. with the most cases of coronavirus right now. Almost 300,000 cases as of today.
Wow. How many deaths?
So in the U.S. is over 7,000 deaths as of today, but globally it's almost 59,000 deaths. And what I see, like the reason why the United States is leading in the most cases of coronavirus is most people are not taking it seriously, and then second, we don't put legally speaking, the government doesn't have really the power to force anybody to stay home unless they declare some type of like martial law or something along those lines, right? Where they actually bring in the military and force everybody to stay home. And if people aren't, like voluntarily, like staying home and abiding by these stay-at-home orders, I really see that there is a potential for the government to bring in the military.
Yeah. I hope that doesn't happen. Who wants to see military on your streets? That's a sight that reserved for, I hate to say what third world countries, right? Eastern middle of the
Hmm.
street. We don't want to see that here, but I think you're right. If people don't take it serious and start to practice the social distancing, then I can see the government getting more heavy-handed,
Hmm.
and taking more severe measures, which who knows what that may be, martial law stuff. I posted something on Facebook last night. I was just thinking about it, and I said, what if things get so bad to where the government start to monitor your phone in like tracking you on your phone to
Hmm.
see if you're practicing social distance, like knowing that exactly. So if my phone is here and your phone is here, then we're not far apart enough, and start to implement some kind of measures to prevent that.
Hmm.
Kind
One
of weird.
interesting thing is the guard has been deployed across a lot of the states, right, just to help with cleaning things and helping distribute food and just assist with public safety and setting up makeshift hospitals. But I've been watching the pressers every morning with Governor Andrew Cuomo of New York, and as of yesterday, he implemented an executive order where they are manually basically taking ventilators that hospitals don't need. And the vehicle by which they are taking those ventilators, those excess ventilators, I think it's a smart strategy, but is using guard units, is using soldiers to go take those. One of the reporters that were covering it says, now when you plan to seize these ventilators, he was very sensitive to that. He said seize, I don't like that word, but in a sense, it is seizing.
It is season. It's funny when you have the National Guard on the ground, assisting in humanitarian needs. That's a good thing. But the flip side to that is you already have them. They're already there, and so you can always, redirect their orders. You can use them for other things. So once they're on the ground and they're active on the ground, it's just a matter of giving them a new order and whatever you want them to do. So yeah, it's one of those things where hopefully we can get through this in the next couple of weeks. But I don't see it. I'm thinking maybe into June with the lockdown, and then once the lockdown is over, what's the other side of this going to look like? What our economy is going to look like on the other side of this, and that's the concern that I have. This is bad in itself, dealing with the lockdown and everything, but don't kid ourselves. I don't want, at least me personally, I don't think it's going to be like, okay, everything is fine, get back to work and everything is all hunky-dory. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think when this is all over and done with, there's going to be a lot of pain to get through in terms of getting our economy back up and running, because it can't just shut. It's like, you know, turning an aircraft carrier, right? Those things don't turn on a dime. So, trying to get this economy back up to speed again after this is going to be a very, very difficult task.
Hmm. And I just wanted to bring attention to something that I have to give this credit to Jin. Actually, he started to talk to me about it and point this like this fact out. Where in the news outlets and everything like that, you're being told that the death rate is roughly about like 3% of the people who get coronavirus, right? But so far, statistically, like the amount of closed cases are the amount of people, like people who we know what the outcomes are, right? Everybody else is still going through, like their episode of COVID-19. We don't know for sure if they're actually going to recover. We don't know for sure, like for sure if they're going to die or not. So, like they're in the active cases, but of the closed cases, there's roughly about almost 300, about like 300,000 cases or so that are closed, right? Closed meaning that they either already recovered or they unfortunately passed away. And so far, the statistics are showing that of those closed cases, 80% recovers and 20% of those cases, the people end up dying. Meaning, like the end result could be a lot worse than what, like the media is projecting. Can you imagine? It's kind of like taking playing Russian roulette with, like a revolver, right? And you have like a 5-bullet, chamber where one of those bullets are in there. Do you really want to, like play that game and take that revolver and pull the trigger to see if you're that unlucky person?
No, I don't.
I definitely don't either. 20% is a pretty high number.
It is a pretty high number. But I'm curious to know, of that 20%, what's the breakdown in terms of the age group, and also those people who may already have some underlying health issues and stuff like that? I'm curious about that.
I mean, obviously, the older you are, if you're 60 or above, and if you have underlying conditions, regardless of what age group you are, you have a higher higher chance of not making it, right? But there are cases of people who were perfectly healthy in their 30s, in their 20s, with absolutely no underlying conditions, and they also passed away. So, like nobody is immune to this, and, it's not guaranteed. No matter if you're young and you're healthy, it's not guaranteed that you're going to make it after an episode of COVID-19. And that's the scary part.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to ask you, Don, so we have the coronavirus. We realize that it has a serious effect on the markets and, the overall economy. But it seems like the stock market cannot get a footing. Maybe a day here they have, an uptick, a few hundred points or whatever. But it seems like they're not getting a traction in the stock market. So what do you think is going on with that?
Well, especially, like the longer this lockdown, stays in effect, the more of a beating the stock market is going to take. And like from the beginning, I already predicted that, the Dow is going to bottom out anywhere between 15 to 18,000. And even though the Dow is at like 21,000 right now, I still think that, we haven't quite bottomed out yet, because that 15 to 18,000 mark wasn't hit yet. So I really think that, like over the next few months, we're gonna see much more turmoil in the markets, but in the stock market anyway. But over on the Bitcoin side and the cryptocurrency side, I see I was doing my research this morning and I saw something really interesting. I saw that Bitcoin futures on the CME, like trading the volume that was being traded on the CME, actually spiked up by 294% from Wednesday to Thursday. And everyone who is trading, Bitcoin futures on the CME, they're all, that's an institutional, platform where it's catered to institutional investors. And when I saw the 294% spike from Wednesday to Thursday, what it tells me is, institutional investors are taking a look at Bitcoin to be that hedge against the monetary inflation. They're now that the government is actually starting to distribute the stimulus money, starting to distribute the trillions of dollars that they have already approved. Now all the institutional investors are starting to go into inflation hedging mode. And that's why you see that it didn't matter, how bad of a downturn there was in Bitcoin. It basically immediately recovered afterwards. And right now we're at around $6,700, $6,800 the last time I checked. But yesterday it actually spiked up past $7,200 too. And I really, and it's giving a clear, uptrend, even though it still has this volatility, but it's clearly, gaining ground, unlike the stock market, where it's just been seesawing for the last 3 weeks in the same spot.
Absolutely. I agree with you, Donna. I believe that a lot of the money that's being printed up right now to bail out different institutions, I think that a lot of money is going to find its way into Bitcoin and other alternative assets. And you know what I'm noticing? Gold is not really performing as people thought it would in this kind of crisis. It does it have a few days where it has some uptick, but it's not spiking like people thought it would in this situation. But I have a thought. I want to hear what you think about this, right? So I was thinking about it, and I thought to myself, I was reading some things anyway. It says, I think a recession in and of itself it's not necessarily a bad thing, or maybe even a depression. It's not a bad thing. Here's why I say that. When the market crashes, I know that a lot of us are looking at the market right now, and we're saying that coronavirus. But the market was overvalued for so long, and people have been screaming from the rooftop for years that the market is overvalued, right? And we just didn't know what was going to be the event to pop the bubble, so to speak, right? But a recession is the market searching for fair market value. Like the market will always come back to an equilibrium. It's always looking for fair market value, right? So when the market is stretched too far with what we call a bubble, at some point it's gonna try to find what's the fair price, what's the fair market value. And that works both ways. When the market crashes, it's gonna come back to a fair market value. It's always looking for that equilibrium. And so I was thinking, as painful as a recession is, because people lose their jobs, their home, and I get all that. But in terms of how the economy functions and how the market functions, recessions are kind of necessary because you have to bring the market back to a fair market value. Otherwise, things get completely overvalued and completely overpriced, and the economy cannot function like that for too long. So as much as we hate it in these times, they're kind of like necessary for the market to function healthy. What do you think about that?
And I mean, I completely agree with what you were saying, because at the end of the day, a recession is a part of the business cycle. Because you cannot because if you think about it, right, every single cycle, like business cycle, you have to there has to be new opportunities for new entrants to the into the market and into the business cycle, because this is actually what makes the world go round, and it's the natural progression of life too, right? If you think about life, just like life, how when you're born, you don't really know anything. All you know is just basic necessities: eat, sleep, and poop. Right? That's basically all we know when we're babies.
Don't forget cry.
Oh, and cry. There you go. And then as you grow, you're learning more things, but without like a market reset, you're never gonna get that opportunity to really show your true potential. And you're never going to get that opportunity to really build yourself into a person that would be able to get to the next level of things, to adapt into our society, right? And then like as we grow older, eventually we pass away, and then allow like the next generation to take over, to take control, and just take control of daily functions. So the market is exactly like the life cycle. Eventually, like we have to grow old, and then we pass away, and then like our children and their children is going to be the people that are controlling the economy, controlling society, and controlling the world. The children are our future, right? So you can think of the business cycle kind of like that too. There's a certain point where the business cycle and the stock market is going to go up to a certain point where like it has to kind of like die down a little in order to allow like new people, new opportunities to continue to thrive and to continue to innovate, to get us to the next level of like our society. Because without recession, like there would be no innovation. And what I mean is, with every single recession, we realize what the true problems are that's underlying, like the underlying problems inside in our society, and then from that realization, we start to innovate and come up with new new innovations that would help us like fix that problem, and then at the end of the day, we become a stronger society together. But if there is no recession, then all of those underlying problems in society is never going to really surface, and then there would be no innovation.
Absolutely, 100%. And to dovetail off of that, in terms of the business that we're in, Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining, I strongly believe that Bitcoin was created for these scenario, because the thing is this, unfortunately, lately, the way our economy has been functioning, whenever we have these corrections, the government doesn't allow the bad run companies, the companies that's mismanaged, the companies that's waste their money. Like, for example, this last go around, there were so many companies, borrowing cheap money to buy back their stocks, because they buy their stocks, the stock price goes up. The CEO and executives, they get paid based on the stock price, so they get big bonuses, and there are so many companies doing that. But what happened is, when you have these recession types scenario, the government doesn't allow these companies to go bankrupt, and I believe that's necessary. You need these companies to go bankrupt so other companies can come in and buy them up and run them better than the current management. But what happened is, the government print up all this money, they pump it into the market to prop up these zombie companies, right? Rather than let them go bankrupt. And so a lot of that money, the more they do that, people who are thinking about what's going on, realizing that they are debasing the money, right? So the more they do that, the more people is going to gravitate towards an alternative like Bitcoin. And, I cannot tell you how much I believe that, because before we had Bitcoin, then people would gravitate towards precious metal like gold, real estate, right?
And speaking about precious metals like gold, right? So a couple of days ago, my father-in-law just gave us a couple of pieces of his gold bar, like the 999.9, like the 24 karat, little gold bars.
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, this is a really outdated system, and it's so inefficient. Like, if I have $1 million that I wanted to protect myself against the inflation, and if Bitcoin and cryptocurrency didn't exist, I'm gonna go like buy all of these gold bars. That's gonna be like so many gold bars.
Yeah.
And then and I wouldn't even feel safe to like keep it inside my house or something. What if somebody breaks in and like steals it all, or like it just creates this inefficient environment to hedge against the inflation of the dollar. And also, I was just thinking about it, like the only reason why, like my father-in-law had it, because he's part of like the older generation who doesn't
100%.
Who doesn't really, like understand Bitcoin and crypto. But I really see that, there's huge potential for Bitcoin, right? Because as the old, like I'm not trying to wish anybody bad luck or anything like that, but like as the older generation ages and really and moves on to a better thing in the next life, the millennials, the people who are more like computer savvy, are going to realize that like gold is such an outdated system. It's so inefficient, and there's just so many downsides to it. And a lot of us in the U.S., we live in bigger cities where it's not 100% safe either.
Well, no, listen, you are 100% correct. But you also have to understand that before Bitcoin, people didn't have a choice other than to go into precious metals, right? Those who had the resources, probably they could buy some real estate, buy apartment buildings and so forth, because people are always in a place to live in recessions. So, but now that they have Bitcoin, now that Bitcoin is here, it gives people an alternative to park their money and feel safe about it. But not only is it safe, but it's very efficient. Just imagine, just say for example, you don't feel safe here anymore, right? And you feel like you want to get up and leave and go wherever you want to go. Can you take, a safe fill of gold with you? You can't, right? But if you have your money in Bitcoin, that's it. You just need to remember your password and using them to log into, your wallet, and that's all you need. So it's so efficient. The Bitcoin just has so many more use case as opposed to gold, but people just didn't know any better. But I'm very curious, to be honest with you. I'm very curious to see how Bitcoin is going to perform during this time, because this is the first time that we're having a recession where we have Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin came out of the last recession, right? So we really don't know how it's going to perform. I think I know how it's going to perform, but that's my personal belief and thought process. But I'm really curious to see it play out in the next couple of years to see how it's going to perform. And I truly believe that 2021 is going to be the year. I think we're going to see some movement this year, but I think 2021 we're going to see Bitcoin explode like beyond belief.
And I really think so too, because I really think this is the catechist that is going to, bring that awareness to a higher level, and make people more aware that they have to kind of like do something else. Because for all the hospitality workers out there, right now, you can't go to work at the bars, the restaurants, and stuff like that. It's all locked down. People are realizing that I need to be able to do something that I can just work online and work from home. So I won't be affected by this, like the next time this comes around.
Yeah. And that's why I kept harping on the fact, the last few live streams that I was on, is that people really need to start thinking about, what they're going to be doing when this is all over. And I'm telling you right now, guys, you may let it go in one ear and out the other. That's completely up to you. But I'm telling you, the economy is not going to look the same when this is all over and done with. And so, the time that we have right now, you should really be thinking about what are some of the things that you can be doing to make yourself more prepared. Whatever. Learn, now is the time to go online and learn a new skill. Figure out something else to do, because especially if you were in a situation where you were like picked up the paycheck, and like right now with this money the government is promising you can't wait for it to get there. Like, okay, fine, I get that. But you should be saying to yourself, I cannot afford to be in this situation ever again, right? To where I cannot wait to get a $1,200 check from the government to make sure I can pay my bills. So if you're in that situation,
we don't really know if we're going to get a $1,200 check the next time this comes around.
Yeah. So, I mean, you have to be really thinking about, what are the things that you can do to make sure that you are better prepared when this were to happen again. But I cannot stress to you enough, there's so many things that's going to change in the online economy. There's so many restaurants that you guys used to visit often, won't be there anymore. No one will be there. They won't open up again. They're done, right? There's so many businesses that you guys are used to going, to visit, get buy whatever. They won't be there anymore. They won't be there. They're done. So you got to start thinking about those things. The economy, and what I see happening is that I see the government playing a bigger role in our economy going forward. I really see that.
And I mean, yeah, I just found out that a couple of the restaurants that I used to frequent a lot, they're probably not going to be there when this lockdown is over.
I'm not surprised.
So I'm kind of sad about that.
I'm not surprised at all. You're going to start seeing that more and more. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so people, just got to take the... There's always a silver lining under everything, right? Take this opportunity to really reflect to yourself where you want to be 5 years from now, and not only like financially, health-wise too, right? Because I just read an article saying that the death rate from COVID-19 in New Orleans is actually twice as high as New York City. not New York City, but New York State overall. And this is due to obesity.
Really?
So
Wow.
people who are, like obese, they obesity tends to lead to other underlying conditions like high blood pressure, among other things, right? Diabetes. So which means, like if a person's obese, they actually have double the chances of not making it after COVID-19, which is kind of scary.
I will say this though, the food in New Orleans, oh my goodness, so good.
It is.
So good.
It is, but see, that's the problem. Why is it that unhealthy food tastes so good?
Listen, man,
and yet
so
healthy food, you got to get used to it, right? It's an acquired taste.
I'm telling you, man, seafood gumbo, crawfish etouffee. It's just like they have the best food, man.
Mm-hmm.
They have the best food out there.
But yeah, like I was saying, take this time to reflect to yourself where you want to be 5 years from now, both financially and like health wise, right? Obviously, I need to practice what I preach to. I'm a little bit overweight. I'm not like obese yet, but I'm a little bit overweight. So I'm going to start to exercise and live a much more healthier lifestyle too, because it's a little bit hard. Like I work very long hours. I'm behind the computer a lot, and I usually work to 3-4 a.m. in the morning. I get like 3-4 hours of sleep, and then I'm up again. So it's very, very hard to kind of find time to exercise and find time to prepare all these healthy meals and stuff. But this lockdown, and this whole COVID-19, it's making me think about a lot of different things. And so I really want to start focusing more on improving, losing some weight and improving our lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
But not only for me, right? Gershom, I think we should be on the same boat, right? So we should do some type of competition, see if who can lose more weight.
Okay, so even before the COVID-19 thing came along, one of my goals for this year was I want to
get an 8-pack. I remember it from my trip, man. You guys made the blood pact already.
Actually, Gershom said that 8 packs are for suckers, those are for the people without goals. What he's going to do is he's going to get a 12-pack by the end of the year.
Right.
I never said that, but I did made one of my goals for this year was to lose 40 pounds. And so that's why, Jen and I come in every morning, we exercise. But the thing I haven't been doing to go with that, I haven't been practicing a proper diet. And so I'm going to have to, focus more on my eating habits, what I eat, when I eat, that type of stuff.
But actually, during this lockdown, and I have to, eat all home cooked meals, I actually dropped about 6 pounds.
Nice.
Since the lockdown started. So
very good.
So it just confirms to me, yes, home cooked meals are much more healthier than takeout.
Absolutely. But now, so you had mentioned a competition just now. So what what do you have in mind?
Whoever can lose the most weight.
No,
by the end of this lockdown.
Okay.
Every 10 pounds is 1 Bitcoin.
Yes. Wait, the most weight percentage or just the most weight?
Just the most weight overall. We're around the same weight.
No, we're not.
Yes, we are.
Are you serious?
Yes, we're about the same weight. I wear a smaller shirt size than you, so you actually have the advantage.
Okay. But so my goal is 40 pounds. So I don't care. Okay, the competition is fine. It's a motivation. But as long as I meet my goal of 40 pounds, I'm winning. So even if you lose more, I don't mind paying the bet or whatever. Mm-hmm. But as long as I meet my goal of 40 pounds, then it's a win for me. So I'm on. So what's the prize? Omakase?
Okay, that's fine.
Now we're on live stream. We came back out of this.
Do I ever back out of anything?
All right, so the loser takes the winner to omakase.
Okay, that's fine.
Not the whole office. Anyway, that's awesome. But back to serious business. one of the things I wanted just to share with you guys, you know, and you can take it or leave it, is during this time, don't be afraid. You know, don't be afraid. Face this head on. You know, realize that we're going through a tough times right now, but this is a time that you can take to make yourself better. But don't be at home. You know, yes, you got to be at home because of social distancing, but don't be at home and be afraid and, you know, thinking about, oh, what? No, face this head on, figure out what you need to do to make yourself better, to improve yourself, and then just do it. This is going to be over at some point, whenever that is. You don't have control over that, right? But in the meantime, what you do have control over is what you do, right?
And you know, one of the things this lockdown has really confirmed to me is, you know, Bitcoin mining is such a great product.
Oh man, it's the best.
You know, like even though all of the other businesses are, you know, like are hurting right now, it's not really affecting us that, you know, like that much, because all of our computers are still, you know, like running. Computers, unlike us, don't need to be quarantined. They, you know, like it doesn't need to sleep. It doesn't need to rest. It doesn't need to take breaks or anything like that. And the best thing is it can't catch viruses.
It's crazy. You know, I tell people all the time that the business that we're in is that we're selling people a money printing machine, right? And I tell people all the time that the business that we're in, you literally make money in your sleep, while you sleep. And those two statements, they're not hyperbole, they're fact. Because the machine that we sell, Bitcoin mining machine, right? They're mining you Bitcoin every day. Bitcoin is money. So you literally have a money printing machine. And those machines, they run 24/7. So while you're sleeping, they're making you Bitcoins, right? So to me, it's the best business to be in. Like, and that's why, like, do we look stressed? No, right? Because we're making money every day. And even though, you know, the economy is going through some tough times or whatnot, but doesn't bother us. In that case, right? I mean, yes, we make sure, you know, we care about everybody and practice social distance and stuff like that. But in terms of our work and what we do, no bother. No bother at all.
Yeah, and one of the things I wanted to mention is on my Facebook, I was running a fundraiser for Meals on Wheels, and one of the things that I did put on there was I was going to give, you know, like do a giveaway of $500 to one person who, you know, like who had donated to the fundraiser. So my fundraiser on Facebook just ended, I believe, either yesterday or on Wednesday. So on Monday's live stream, we're gonna put everyone's name into, you know, like a hat and pull out the winner. See who gets $500. And I'm thinking maybe just send them $500 in Bitcoin. Make it easy.
Awesome. So I know I donated. So am I going to be in the drawing, or am I not?
So
I can't be in the drawing.
Everyone that donated will be in the drawing except for Jason and Jim. Because, you know, they're super rich already. They don't need, you know, like the extra $500.
Okay. So I'm in the drawing then, right?
Oh, but I forgot. You're super rich too.
What? Get out. Whatever. Whatever. Yeah. But no, listen, we're in the best business that I can think of right now. In terms of what we do with Bitcoin mining. And if anyone is ever thinking about what Bitcoin mining is, then definitely reach out to us. We're more than happy to explain to you and you know, show you what we do and how it works, and how you can also have yourself your own money printing machine and make money while you sleep.
Yeah, and I just wanted to, regarding that fundraiser, right? I just wanted to thank everybody that donated as well. We raised about $2,000 for Meals on Wheels. What they do is they actually bring meals to senior citizens who cannot, you know, like leave their house to shop and to prepare their own food. So, which is what's much needed right now, especially, you know, like during this whole COVID-19 situation, where, you know, like the people over 60 years old are the people that are most prone and has the highest probability of, like passing away and not getting through COVID-19. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Meals on Wheels and, like really show my appreciation for, like the things that they're doing as well. Like along with all of the other, like nonprofits out there that's helping everybody get through this tough situation.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you a question about Bitcoin. So I remember we had a conversation a while back, and you were doing some analysis on Bitcoin and the halving coming up, and you were kind of looking at past performance and looking at what it may do as we approach the halving, and then what may happen after the halving, right? And so I wanted to ask you, the coronavirus situation right now that happened, and the market crashing and everything. So that happened like out of the blue. We didn't really see the coronavirus happening right now. Does that change your analysis in terms of what Bitcoin may do price-wise as we get closer to the halving and also after the halving? Or do you think everything pretty much is on course as is, or as things change for you?
Well, I mean, even before, like knowing about COVID-19 and this whole lockdown situation, right? Historical data was giving us a pretty, like positive outcome for Bitcoin, and it was already showing that, like next, if it follows a historical pattern, then the end of next year is going to be when it hits the next new high, right? When Bitcoin prices are going to be over $20,000 again. But now with the whole, COVID-19 lockdown, what's happening in our economy and the government printing out trillions of dollars, I really think more, like it gives a higher probability of all of that historical data be, coming to fruition. So it's still on course to break the old all-time high and set a new all-time high. Just like everything that's going on right now, it just increases that probability.
So do you think that timeline has moved up? Like, say, for example, do you think that we'll see an all-time high this year as opposed to next year? Or what do you think about that?
Well, there is a possibility of us reaching a new all-time high this year, but I wouldn't, bet my house on it. Because I really think, there is a probability, but the probability is it's pretty low. I would say anywhere between 3 to 5% probability that, Bitcoin's price will reach an all-time high this year. But I would say there's a 70 to 80% chance of Bitcoin reaching a new all-time high next year. By the end of next year. So right now it's a very good opportunity because prices are still low. Start mining, start accumulating Bitcoin, lock it in so that once it hits a new all-time high next year, you're going to come out on the other side much more, financially stable, person.
Yeah, and that's it. It's an interesting thing to observe, in times like this is when people should be gathering their Bitcoin, so to speak, right? And so when we hit that point where the price spikes or the price goes up, then you're in a better situation. But human nature, for some reason, don't do that. They wait until the price goes up and then they want to get in. It's almost like, they buy high and sell low, as opposed to buying low and sell high. It's very strange. But I kind of want to switch topic for a little bit and talk about something a little bit more controversial. I was thinking the other night about how we're in a situation right now where we don't have enough ventilators, right? And, we're running short of medical supplies and things like that. And then I read a number that says 90% of our medical equipment and supplies is made in China, right? And that's one of the things where I kept saying, when this is all over, we're going to see a different economy, because what happened is when the COVID-19 thing hit and the supply chain seized up, we weren't getting the supplies because the supply chain is so thinly managed that we didn't have the supplies we need. But how is it that we have 90% of our medical equipment and medical supplies made in China? So I think you're going to see a lot of that stuff being brought back here, and it's going to get made here. I'm telling you right now, that's going to happen. And so that's just one caveat for you guys to think about how our economy is going to change. You can't have a situation where you have supposedly the richest nation in the world and you have a pandemic and you don't have these medical supplies that you need to take care of your citizens. So you're going to see a change in that big time. You're going to see a lot more manufacturing being done here in terms of for medical supplies and things like that. It was just something I was thinking about. Another thing I was thinking about, this is anyway, I don't want to talk about that one. That was too controversial, but that was just one thing I was thinking about.
Okay. I the more I have a conversation with you, Gershom, the more I realize, wow, you are really a conspiracy theorist.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I think certain things just doesn't make sense, and then certain things make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I come across certain information, I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And those are some things that I was thinking about, and as I read more. Doesn't make sense.
Oops, sorry.
So what?
Oh no.
Yeah. But I'm not a conspiracy theorist.
I know. I'm just joking. I'm just busting your chops.
Yeah.
I was about to use the other inappropriate word.
Don't do that. Don't forget we're on live stream here. But what do you think about that? I mean, do you think that we're going to see some changes in terms of, on manufacturing and how, weird things are made? Because like you said earlier, when you have these situations, it exposes a lot of weakness in our economy, mm-hmm. and it exposed a lot of foolishness that's been going on in the economy, right? And I think that this pandemic right now and the way it affects the market and the way it shows us how fragile the supply chain is, I think that's one thing that got exposed, and now as a nation we're going to have to address it.
Yeah, I really think that is a legitimate thought process. And I was just joking about you being a conspiracy theorist. I really think that, you have a really deep thought process, a thought process that, you think about a lot of things that most people don't think about, which is why, you're super rich. Because you're able to position yourself in a advantageous spot before things actually happen.
Super rich stuff already. Anyways, so that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, so basically that's all we have for you guys today. If you guys had any questions about anything that that we talked about today, or any topics that you want us to cover in our next live stream, then please send us a message. Either reach out on Telegram, shoot us a comment on our Facebook page or on our YouTube channel. James, is there any questions on the YouTube side? I don't see any on the Facebook side.
None on the YouTube side.
Okay. Yeah, so I hope you guys, are enjoying these live stream sessions that we're having, and I hope we're able to provide you a lot more insight, and you're picking up little nuggets here and there and learning something new, because that's how we progress as a society.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. These live streams I enjoy when we do these live streams. And it's really, we're hoping at least that maybe we can say something here, something there, where you guys can make some sense of it. And then, hopefully we can say something that will make someone think about something in a different way that they hadn't thought about it before. And that way, maybe make some decisions to improve their lives or the situation. That's a whole process behind doing these live streams, is to hopefully, provide some information that someone can walk away with and will make a difference in their lives. So I hope that we're providing that for you guys, so you can actually use some information that we're sharing with you make some good decisions from it.
Mhm. Okay. Thank you guys. Have a good weekend. Happy Friday. And as always, stay safe. Thank you.